you mind if we shoot some home video?
I've had like 3 tours this week. I mean, when I did a Channel 9 thing, Broadcast House Live, I did that. I put my number on the screen, and
Oh, great.
people called me from the tourism department.
Really?
Thought it was like a museum, you know, like with buses and stuff. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? It's like they don't understand that it's somebody's house.
Linda, did you want the other camera, or were you okay with that?
Oh, yeah,
Let me
let's...
get the other camera. Where is it, in your car?
Yeah.
Like the normal stuff, but I have some things that Yeah. I love that line.
Hey, check it out.
Yeah, one of the original Winky costumes. Yeah, that's the one that picked up in movies they have on our This one. This is, there's only like 3 complete sets.
Wow.
Neat stuff.
We were just listening to...
Headquarters in Catonsville.
We were just listening to the Laurel Hardy theme music out on the way up here.
Well, the costume creation was developed between Hollywood, but there's been a lot of stuff between Hollywood.
Yeah.
These photos from Rose Creek, Citizen Kane, that's in the DC.
They bought that for you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez.
Anyway, there's some nice Oscars, and there's 3 Oscars and an Emmy. I mean, any collector I know has got 3 of them.
You got some, I mean, is it Raymond Burr's?
Yeah, this is Raymond Burr's Emmy for Perry Mason. And this is American in Paris Best Picture of the Year Oscar. And this is Portrait of Jenny, visual effects, and Wuthering Heights, the cinematography.
Well, why do they get rid of those things?
Well, this guy right here, Arthur Freed, won 2 that night. He won the Irving Thalberg Award. Because he's a major player, and he's the one that's responsible for Wizard of Oz. A lot of people don't know the name, but he did tons of stuff. So he got
He was
2
at
that.
MGM for years.
Yeah, so he got 2 awards and gave us the Brown Derby restaurant. It was in the Brown Derby and he died. And they went belly up maybe like 6 or 8 years ago. Just filtered his way out of there and never went back to the family. And this, Egler's family sold it, Paul Egler, 1948. And the other one was sold by the family. From 51 up to present, you can't sell them. They go back, they're on loan for life, and they go back to the academy. From 51 back, they don't have any control over.
They'd be the ones that would be the best.
Like somebody tried to
They're the
sell.
ones that matter anyway.
Well, but somebody tried to sell. Yeah, that's true. But somebody tried to sell Around the World in 8 Days, Michael Todd's, and it was like 57 or something, 55, and they put the
It's
Knicks on
like,
it.
Cher is best actress. I mean,
Yeah, right.
Who cares about that?
Yeah, true. There were people like, I don't know, like what is it, Oprah Winfrey. I mean, when you say nominated, I
Right.
thought like it's going totally downhill.
Right.
No, I like to have pictures of people with the
Sure, that's great.
Or getting that in '61.
Beautiful. Who's it made?
That's I don't know. She was one of those presenter types. You know? They used to have nobody's presenting those. About 2,500 pieces. It's a nice piece. Museum quality.
Ooh.
Gotta get a.
What's up right
I've got to get a doctor from Hopkins to read this. It tells in hieroglyphs who's in it, but I can't take a rubbing, so I got to get somebody down there to read it.
Pat is one of the biggest Laurel Hardy fans I know.
Oh, really?
Maybe Hal Roach 3 times.
There you go. Sons of the Desert. Stan's hat.
Jesus.
You're wearing it right
We
there.
were listening to that album on the way up here, Pat, the one with the
That's funny.
theme
Pat,
music.
here, let's get a picture of you with the...
There you go. And there's one of Ollie's derbies. They used the Roach Studios.
Okay, here, Pat, here, this is your finest moment.
There you go.
Wow, that's great.
No, put one
Thanks.
on your hand, though.
God, you know, we met Lois Laurel Haas.
Right,
I helped her wash my hair first.
I helped her. I gave her a lot of pertinent papers. She was suing Larry Harmon, the guy that did all the comics and stuff. Because he was running around going, Stan was a great guy,
And the
great
pizza,
friend of
too.
mine.
He did Laurel Hardy
Well, they
pizza.
did a lot of unauthorized stuff. Stan was a bug for that. I mean, he didn't want anybody to use his name or anything. In fact, funny story I got from one of the people involved with them. He was riding down the street in Sunset Boulevard, and some bank had just thought of the idea of don't rest on your laurels, get Hardy investments and everything. And it's Laurel and Hardy up there, and he put on the brakes, came over, wrote down the name of the bank and all, and they sued him. because he said, I didn't authorize that billboard. He's old. I mean, he's getting near death, and he was doing that stuff. He was crazy.
I hope he won.
I think he won, yeah. Lois, I tried to help her because I had a lot of paperwork saying that Stan didn't trust Larry Hardy, didn't like him. And she wanted that to introduce the evidence in court. So I Xeroxed a ton of stuff and sent it to her and hope I helped her. I used to call Stan up in 1960.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like my all-time.
Yeah, I saved my money and talked to him. I guess I was bugging him, but I would ask him some funny questions. I knew Boris Karloff, Vincent Price, Stan Laurel. I knew him really well, enough to call him and stuff like that. And that's really before the nostalgia boom took off, you know?
I used to correspond with Larry of the Stooges.
Oh, yeah, me
and
too.
Mo. I got
Yeah.
some stuff from Mo.
Yeah, look at it. You like this. This is great.
Do you remember when Larry was in the...
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a little
You
bit of
remember before he died?
There he is.
Oh, do you have a light adjuster
Yeah.
right
He
there?
didn't want the picture taken in a
And you
wheelchair.
got it on auto. Does the focus
I
work
gotta
okay?
I gotta show you that book.
Yeah.
It's real valuable.
These
These
are
books,
just
though.
like,
I never got up the nerve to call
You got
him,
it,
but
yeah, it's on.
I talked to him in town here. I met him
It's
here
turned all the way
corner
down
here.
to like light bulb there.
are those real?
Huh?
Are those real?
I have letters. They're from the Hollywood Wax Museum. I have letters that Stan talks about the guy that did those, and they measured them and all that. But they're pretty good likenesses. They're all wax, human hair.
Oh, I meant the clothes.
No,
They-
no,
they're-
the clothes aren't real.
They're too clean.
No, they're not real. They were dressed in kind of funky looking, dirty clothes that they
Right.
never cleaned, and I just stripped them off, but they were
Oh, I
horrible.
see.
is this from Adam West here? Or?
Yeah, Adam Westenberg wore it's missing pieces, but see, here's when I met them. They were at an amusement park.
Oh, was that at Glen Echo?
No, well, they did at Glen Echo.
Yeah.
But this was Glen Oak
Wow.
in town here.
That's great.
I met him twice there, and got to be friends with Mo, through another friend of mine who knew Mo. And I always got weird things signed back then, so I had a seltzer bottle, like the old kind
Great.
of guy. And it had a little bit of fluid left in it and all, but I handed it to him with a magic marker, and they all signed it, and then Mo took it like that and turned like this and like pointed right at me, and I said, I wish it was filled. And he goes, you're all right, kid, and he hit me, and it was great.
Well, when he was up here on college campuses, these guys would like run up on stage with pies, and they would insist that he hit them with
Yeah,
pies
right,
because they
right.
wanted to
Right.
be able to tell their grandchildren
That's right.
that Mo would hit them.
But
with
he
a
was
pie.
kind of like, if he got out of a car or you saw him and he had his hair back, he was kind of like, the mystique was gone, But then when he shook his head and it all came out, it was great.
Well, he was like the
He was a
least,
neat guy.
Yeah, but he was like the least. Larry was just a real good time. Joe, from what I understand, Mo was very businesslike. And
He was, but he could be fun too. I mean,
I also heard though they were very, very. They loved their fans,
oh
and that
God,
was
yeah.
very important to
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Well, I went to a tour of Columbia Studio with him, and he'd walk around and he'd be smoking a big cigar, and everybody would walk by. They treat him like George Burns, like he'd be walking by and they'd go, hey kid, and they'd all go, Mo, everybody would know him.
How old are you?
I'm 46.
Jesus. Hey, you must have been a little punk back then.
Well, I mean, I was in high school in the 60s.
Yeah, I'm almost 40.
Yeah, I was 46. I was born in 48.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I was into this early. I mean, I could fill this house 8 times with the stuff I had. I mean, I got cabinets under here filled with pictures. I just put up stuff that interests me,
Yeah, but the
But
thing
like, I see all these cases are loaded, and I mean, just on this table here, you could spend days, because I collect hotel registers. And there's virtually, like, John Wilkes Booth, every Confederate and Union general in here.
Jeez.
I mean, this book, they want to do articles in the Sun paper on it. It's the phenomenal register from a Baltimore big hotel, this hotel right there, the Barnum Hotel. All these are registers from a clothier in London. I mean, there's people, Winston Churchill, Albert Einstein, Gershwin, Cole Porter, Rudolph Valentino,
fun.
Raymond Massey,
Wow.
kings, queens, everybody's in there that got clothing made. This is like,
This thing.
I just got some registers in there, guest books. This is not like Frank Sinatra and a bunch of other Hattie McDaniel. This is a beautiful guest book used in a hotel a restaurant in New York, and it's like lots of stars: Robert Cummings, Ingrid Bergman, Mary Pickford.
Wow.
I mean, if you like old movies, there's Hitchcock with the characters from
Oh, yeah.
Owl Lads, Olivia de Havilland, Michael Todd, Constantine,
Wow.
Jack Dempsey.
1944.
Yeah, they'd all signed, Peter Lorre. I got that from the guy who couldn't even read it, so it's Peter Lorre.
Oh,
You can see it if you see it, but if you don't know it, you'd never get it. Paul Meany over G. Robinson. That's all. I like registers and guest books. And they're hard to
Never even
find.
would have thought of that.
They're hard to find. I go in bookstores and ask them, and they go, what? occasionally a guy will go, yeah, I had one, or, I've seen one.
Yeah, you'd have to go like,
Yeah, but the
hotel
thing is,
to
nobody.
Now, you're still an autograph dealer primarily, or is that?
Well, autographs, memorabilia,
Right,
stuff like
right.
that. Yeah, I like this kind. I deal in this kind of stuff. I mean, you'll see stuff like, hair locks. I'm bringing this stuff for that television show, Mary Pickford's Last Girl, that she sold at auction in '39.
Huh.
And there's George and Martha Washington hair locks. There's Batman license plate from the new movie.
Oh, is that right from the?
Yeah, one of the ones in the car.
Now, there were like several of the
What did it
costumes
say?
from the
Lots.
the show, right?
Oh, here's me.
Oh, here.
When I got him, I said, write something corny on there, and he went, what? And I said, anything, and he wrote, here's me.
You actually got Nicholson? I thought
Oh,
it was
yeah,
a
most of
top
these
guy.
I got.
Really?
No. He was real nice. In fact, first time I ever met him, he tried to pick up my sister, who at that time was jailbait, probably. She was like 17. And he caught her off guard because it's like we were at the Kennedy Center, and the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was the movie that was premiering. And of course, she didn't know. It was just a stupid movie, and you don't
Right.
know. So it's premiering in D.C., and Nicholson walks in, and there's big, long lines of people when we got in. And outside there were a lot of people, but then inside. So Nicholson walks in, and we're going, Jack, he looks over and he got autograph stuff. So he signed, I didn't get that then, but I got it another time. So he signed something for my sister, and he looked at her and just patted her on the face. And he signed something for me and then walked away. And he turns around and comes back, and we're like, wow, there's Jack Nicholson. And he walks over right to my sister and he goes, would you like to come in with me? And my sister's like, what? And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, we couldn't explain it to my mother, So she's like, no, I can't, and then she regrets it to this day.
Oh, wow.
Because, I mean, he was big then, but he wasn't as big as he is.
Sure. Well, I was big. I was like the. He had won the Oscar after
Yeah,
that. You know?
yeah. And one of my real good friends just died, Cesar Romero.
Oh, yeah.
Batman, so.
Oh, yeah.
I got a million stories. I mean, it's funny. Like, my son's sitting around, he's 5 years old, he's watching reruns of Batman. And he says, Dad, I love the Joker. And I go, I know him. And he goes, you know him? And I go, yeah, he's an old
You
man.
know both of them.
Cesar Romero. I said, he's a nice guy.
He was great.
So he says, oh, can you get his autographs? I said, yeah. So we used to correspond with just Christmas cards each year, because he collects elephants. Really had a huge collection of elephants. And so I wrote him, and my son was bugging me about going to California. He was 7 or 8. So I said, let's go to California. So I sat it up with him, and he had just signed for Falcon's Crest, and he did a Love Boat.
Oh, right.
So he was out in San Fernando Valley filming, and right at the same time we came to Hollywood. And he came all the way back just to meet us and sat down with my son for an hour.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, he's a great guy, and he was asking him all these questions about Batman.
Yeah.
And then the greatest moment was, he said, can you still laugh like the Joker? And Cesar Romero turns on the sofa and just goes into this whole character right in front of my son's face. And I didn't have my camera ready, but my son's eyes were like that. Wow. I mean, he was laughing and doing with the hair and all this stuff. It was great.
That's priceless.
Yeah, it was great.
Moment.
And he was a great guy.
Yeah.
And then my son said, do you have anything left from the Batman series that you kept? And he goes, no, it was all the wardrobes. And he said, wait a minute, I do have something. He goes in his bedroom and he comes out, and in his drawer, he had a ring that was like a weird looking clown ring, and he said he left this on his finger when he was filming, and he just brought it home, and he just looked at it one day and threw it in his jewelry box. So we went in and got it. It was the last thing he had. So he gave it to my son, and I said, could you write something about it? So he wrote down a letter about what it was. So my son still got that, but that's something he'll keep the rest of his life.
Sure. Wow. Well, I think that's what's motivated all of us, is because we're all collectors.
Yeah,
we all
right.
know.
Right.
We know what's in our hearts and what the people who we want to reach with a show like this.
Sure.
And if we can turn other people along the way, great.
Yeah. I mean, everything in here's got a story, but most people don't want to hear it, But some are more interesting than others. You can get redundant, but I try to, when people come down here, I have a lot of collectors come down here, and I get apprehensive with collectors because, it's like, they've seen it all, they've been everywhere and all. But I've never had really one that left without being somewhat impressed, because I used to be, apprehensive about having such a wide, eclectic variety of stuff. But I have people from 8 to 80 come down here, collectors, non-collectors, and there's always somebody that's interested in something, So if I had just Kennedy, then if you hate Kennedy, you don't even want to come down here. And if I had weird stuff, you hate that, Because I have, nieces and nephews that can't stand, bees, they're afraid of them and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things. But, I've just heard it all over the years. And, believe me, I just had 7 people down the other night, 6 people 2 nights ago. people just hear about me in groups or that, because I,
Well, you
publicity.
got, yeah.
It's like going to school and, not knowing the principal, you know what I mean? It's like, they see you and go by.
Yeah, right.
Once he
right.
knows you, you know,
Yeah.
you're in. So this
Sure.
guy knows me, and I can't walk 2 feet without like, come here, you know? That takes away time from my food.
I'll bet, yeah.
I mean,
Customer, that's the trade-off, I guess. But at least you're open about it. I mean, really, and I think that sincerity is what.
well, it's fun.
Really-
I really enjoy it. I mean, I got tons of Kennedy stuff.
Is this all the Kennedy stuff?
Well, this everything in these cases were owned or used by him personally.
Man.
And then I got all this is filled. I mean, this is all filled with stuff. And there's a lot of great stuff in here. I just don't. I can fill the whole room for display-wise.
I work with Sidney Lawford's husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a producer with Discovery.
Oh. I got it categorized kind of chronological. There's his baby christening ring, and then I take it right on to his PT 109. And some things I have a lot more on the presidency. Here's his passport, his ID card, his badge from the convention, his international driver's license, his address book from his apartment, the shirt samples he checked off with JK's initials to have his shirts made for the inauguration. He ordered his car from that brochure there, Presidential Continental, when he was killed in. The bunting from the inaugural stand, a piece of it. His pens. There's his blotter from his desk. A lot of times I have pictures of things in use. His hands are on that piece of paper. It's the first thing he wrote as president.
Right.
His pen set. There's a pair of glasses, sunglasses.
Now, Entertainment Tonight
Cigar.
and nationally,
cigar.
who's been down there?
I had like Meet Me
Smoker.
magazine television
Yeah.
show. I had WBAL who did something on my Kennedy collection last year, and then I think it's WABC, a sister station in Boston, picked it up and did it on one of those like hard copy things or something.
Right.
I haven't had any cable. I've had a couple like local colleges contact me, but they never followed through. One guy was doing a project on weird collections, and he was going to do my Shrunken Heads, but he never got it off the ground.
Oh.
And then I did have Maryland
Daniel?
Public Broadcasting. Well, that guy, I mean, the good part about that show is at least he does stuff that maybe the common person can own. I found with all these magazines and collecting shows and all, they give you stuff that nobody can identify with. You know, nobody can identify with Tiffany, you know,
Yeah.
and
right,
Fabergé and all that. Nobody collects that stuff. I mean, Malcolm
Neat
Ford.
or not?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, we've got a whole. The thing that we.
They were gonna hold up a Fabergé egg and say neat or not, and then hold up a rocket ship thermos bottle and say
Right.
neat or not.
Right. I mean, it's things that people, I have a tendency to believe that people want to see things that they might have tucked away in their attic or something like that. But not junk, but a happy medium, kind of like down the middle. Nobody's going to have a Fabergé egg in their attic,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
And if they do, you know.
They're Malcolm Ford.
Right.
That's it.
It's crazy, you know? So that's the rub that I have with all the shows. They all have a tendency to.
We've seen enough of lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Yeah, great. You know, people, I mean, maybe people want to see that, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
in collecting, I don't want to see
Yeah.
that stuff.
Eh,
I want to see something that maybe is obtainable, you know?
right.
And if people look at my collection here in Kennedy and say it's not obtainable, and I have to agree with them to a certain extent, because I collected Kennedy for 20 years and came up with some books he owned and things like that. But then I hit the mother lode. I mean, all this came from Jackie Kennedy or people that worked with her.
Is that right?
Well, what happened, Roosevelt and a lot of first ladies, Eleanor, called in the staff and said, take whatever you want. So she threw his canes and clothes and all kind of stuff in the middle of her bed, leaving the White House, packing up, going out. Harry Truman's the president. Take whatever you want as a memento. So guys were taking stuff and all that. Jackie Kennedy did the same thing, but she didn't think about the library, and I'm sure, you know, Mrs. Roosevelt didn't think about Hyde Park Museum, and they don't think about it when it's happened.
Yeah.
And they say, take stuff. So a lot of this stuff, not all of it, but a lot of the main pieces, like his ring and his watch and things like that, were in a wicker basket in Abel Harriman's house in Georgetown. That's where she went. And she just called in staff and said, take a bunch of stuff. And some people were taking one and two things, and I got the mother lode. I got the person that got the most.
Really?
Yeah. But I have letters on each thing. I mean, I have the bandages that he wrapped his legs with. It's just stupid ace bandages. But with a letter explaining why Dr. Travell recommended that he take the pressure off his back with the bandages and all this, it's all got history to it.
Yeah.
A lot of the things are just kind of, you know, esoteric, weird stuff, but it all has history to it. And some of them are very poignant, like the passport and, you know, the ring that MacArthur gave him right there as Commander-in-Chief.
Huh.
It's his West Point ring. they took the stone out of the top and had it custom made with a presidential seal on the top. The watch he got on election night and he wore for 2 years. It's been his favorite picture, and I got tons of them wearing it. And things like this, I do a lot of research, and this is the cover of Life magazine in '59.
Huh.
And they sent it to him after they used it on Life magazine, and there it is in the office. It hung in the office in the Senate, and then he took it into the White House, and there it is in the outer office in the White House. And then in 1962, he said to one of the people, "There's too much Kennedy stuff around, get that out of here." So they just put it in storage, but it's the original picture that was there. And all these, you've seen this famous portrait, well, that's the original one that hung in this is the original that hung in the hallway in the White House. It's been reproduced 1,000 times, but that was Kennedy's.
What's the Lawrence of Arabia? Was that a theater program?
Yeah, that
Peter
was,
Law?
that
That?
Peter, he wasn't in that.
Peter
Yeah.
That was the programs. You see down the bottom, it's got his name on it. The other one's got Jackie's as First Lady of the United States. It was the movie premiere. I think it was in D.C.
Yeah.
And another pair of his glasses. There was a pen he carried all around. He stuck in his pocket because those pens are dip pens and they get ink on the on wherever you put them. So he needed a little pen holder. His wallet.
So this is the largest private
Collection, yeah, in the world.
Wow.
Absolutely, yeah. But you're not seeing it all because I'm opening a shop now and I'm emptying a case back there and I'm going to put another case down here and try to get down the wall. I don't want to fill the whole room because I've told you before, like, if I have all Kennedy, then it turns people off.
Right.
I mean, it turns a lot of people on, but,
Yeah.
you know, I got to watch what I do.
What if Nixon comes in?
So you've got your.
What's his name? Hunter Thompson collects Nixon.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
I got some great Nixon stuff. I had some great
Really?
Nixon stuff.
Did,
I got his letter over there that would have been his resignation letter.
Really?
It's his actual resignation
Wow.
letter. It's funny because it says, "I hereby resign the office of president," and it's directed to Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State. This one has, "I, Richard Milhouse Nixon, hereby resign." And he starts to write his name and then scratches his name out and then scratches his name off and they redid it. I don't know why I didn't want "I, Richard Milhouse Nixon."
So, but your shop's going to have a lot of the other parts of the collection. I'm sure you've got stuff in storage and things.
Yeah, I got all kinds of, I have, wild, crazy things. But this is stuff that I particularly like, Here's Kennedy's wallet. I just got that last year that he had on him when he was killed. And this is the money clip that Jackie was going to put with his body. It's in Death of a President. If you read the page, it talks about a St. Christopher money clip right here. Where is it? Right here. The new St. Christopher's money clip. Yeah. So she was going to put this with his body in Harvard Hospital. And they gave it to her on her wedding anniversary. See, it's her handwriting on the back. It's gold, and he carried that in. Show you. So he carried it in this wallet from '56. He carried it from '56. Everybody thinks that's a condom. So he carried it in there from '56 to '62, and got this in '62, and then had this on him in Dallas. So when I went down to Dallas, I was at 12:30. The exact minute he killed 30 years to the day. I was standing right in the spot, and I had the wallet. It was kind of neat. I didn't tell anybody. I was just standing there.
The United States even needs a wallet.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do?
See, there's a
Get pulled
fallacy.
over and need
If
his
you
driver's
read the
license?
books, they say Kennedy never carried any money and all that. It's all a bunch of bull. It's just, I don't know why they say stuff like that. It's crazy. He did. He carried money. Jeez.
So is this totally what you do for a living, or?
Basically, yeah. See, he got that on his last birthday. They were going to make him for the campaign. Place Happy Days Are Here Again. They were issuing them. They were on a dock in San Francisco, ready to be released for the campaign, and he got killed. So it was a tacky toy immediately, so they took them all up and just destroyed them.
They destroyed them?
Yeah, if you see these at shows, I bought one at the show for like $150, but they're worth like $4.
Wow.
But this is Kennedy's. This is the one he got. So
Oh, really?
it's hard to place a value.
Yeah. God.
His glasses from Dallas. Those nice Ray-Bans. He had those in the fourth car.
Are those the ones you had on?
They were in the fourth car. If see with the case and all that, if you were campaigning, it would be like bulging, so he wants to look good. So, and it was raining that morning, so he really didn't need glasses. But then the sun was coming out, so he probably would have gotten them later.
Yeah,
He was going to
if he was
Little
wearing
Johnson's.
them, they wouldn't be here.
Right.
There wouldn't be anything left of them.
That's like people say, what's my favorite thing? That's my favorite thing. That's the flags off the car in Dallas. I mean, they're great items.
Oh my goodness.
Just to get for your example, Sotheby's wanted to put them at auction last year, and they said I could like 150. They're gonna give me 25 grand advance to put them up there. But I mean, I got great paperwork on them and all, and they're on the flags. In fact, it even has some of the wax from the car right on there. But they're all marked in the inside, his name, and all the production of them. They're each handmade. But they were used all during the presidency, not just in Dallas, but they were used in Dallas that day.
Well, you have to be like a detective of sorts to get this stuff.
Well,
You
yeah,
have look
to
at
do
it,
research on it, you do.
everything.
You
So
do,
you
really.
have to trace people down and find out where things went. And
Yeah.
That's a real job.
Yeah, like yesterday, I was just offered the hearse that carried his body from the plane
Really?
to Bethesda Naval Hospital. Now I'm thinking, I was offered his 61.
Was it his body?
Hmm?
Was it his body?
Yeah, that's another thing. But see, that license plate, I was offered the car that was on that plate, and I got the keys to the car. It's a 61 Lincoln, white Lincoln that he had up in Massachusetts. And I was offered that car, and I got one at like 30 grand, 40 grand, something like that. And I'm like, that's okay. It's kind of get 30, 40 grand. I mean, I lead a kind of a normal life. That's the neat part of this collection is like I'm not a multi-millionaire. If I would,
Yeah.
it's easy, you just buy it all.
Right.
I don't buy it all. I mean, I buy something, trade it off, do this. I'm always hustling. Yeah, always hustling. But I was just offered that hearse ambulance. So, and the guy's, I was saying, well, what kind of number you got? And I figured he was going to say like 30, 40,000 and just forget it. He said 8,000.
Wow.
So I was like, what condition? He goes, well, I don't know anything about it. Let me find out. I don't even know if it runs. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll get that, But I mean, I gotta have my money somewhere else. I mean, I got a garage. Where am I gonna put it? And then sure as hell, I'll get it in there and it'll be sticking out about that.
Yeah. And this is something you grew, that you just. Did your father collect?
I grew up in
or-
this house.
Yeah.
My father had a club basement down here, and I used to just put up little displays in the corner and something like that. I collected Civil War bullets, and went to Gettysburg and did all that. Started out as a kid. Drove my bike to Ellicott City, where I'm just opening a shop now. And would hit all the antique shops all day long.
Yeah.
Finding whatever, just something that was history. Back in those days, autographs you could get cheap. I wrote to everybody,
Right.
in the 50s.
And those were the people that would write back to you too.
Yeah, it changed. It totally changed. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I have is old. I mean, you couldn't get answers from stars today. Forget it. I have lots of other stuff that is not out. I mean, I have maybe 12 to 1,500 signed photos.
Some of the old timers still write back to you.
Yeah, they will. They will.
Is that
I
Larry
still-
Fine? Is that Larry?
Yeah, that was about 3 weeks before he
Pat
died.
had a correspondence with him.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Bob,
Yeah.
Bob met him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's.
I've got the best Larry Fine story. He knew about my collection and told me I collect hair locks because I got lots of hair locks. I mean, the same thing.
yes.
Like your mother saved your baby hair. It's the same type of thing. People say, oh, it's weird, it's fetish. It's not. It's just your mother saved your baby hair. What's a fetish? It's like an endearment. That's what it is. So I mean, I got Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, people like that. So I said to Larry Fine, I showed him some of my pictures of my collection, and he goes, do you want a hair lock? I said, I'd love to have a hair lock. I didn't know how to ask you. And he goes, here. He just did like that and pulled it right out. Like, I got some. Yeah, I got it in a Riker mount. I could get
If
to.
Mo was there, he would have done it for him.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, so I got a hunk of Larry's hair. It was awesome. I mean,
Scalp included.
it was great.
God, that is too much. This is really something.
This is a wild item people have a hard time with. That's the shell that Ruby killed Oswald with.
Wow.
The shell casing from the gun.
Yeah.
And then these are abstract drawings that Ruby did. And this was setting in the Dallas District Attorney Henry Wade's desk drawer. Just evidence, And I got it from Ron Wade, his cousin. And the kid was collecting stuff to make a museum. And it was like 4 years afterwards. And I got a nice letter from Henry Wade, giving it to his nephew.
So, what's the strangest, what's your favorite acquisition story? One of them that, as far as your, finding something or getting something, that you're being able to procure something from some source.
I guess I've got hundreds of them, but
Yeah.
one that stands in my mind is I bought presidential paychecks, and that was unbelievable. Everybody's like I mean, I deal with sophisticated collectors of autographs, and did years ago too. And a little old man called me up and said, "I have presidential paychecks," and I went, "What do you mean?" You know, and he goes, "I said, president doesn't get a check, paycheck." You know, he goes, "Well, I beg to differ with you. I got him." And I said, "Well, who you got?" And he said, "I got Franklin D. Roosevelt, Herbert Hoover, Coolidge." I'm like, you know, I said, I can't believe this. I got to see him. So I went in this horrible neighborhood downtown Baltimore. Walked in, but an immaculate, well-kept, you know, black people, very nice people. This guy worked for the Treasury Department, and he was ordered when they bombed Pearl Harbor to clean out an area in the Treasury Department. And he said, I started throwing boxes away and burning them. And he said, and I saw the president's name on some checks, so I just pulled them out. So he had a little envelope filled with about 80 checks. There were senators, a couple congressmen, a couple vice presidents, but all from the 20s to the early, late 30s. And I only have one left. But they're mostly Roosevelt checks because Roosevelt was 4 terms and he had more paychecks, right? It's common sense. But I'm like, so I look, it was more Roosevelt checks. So I'm looking at these things and I go to the guy, I just can't believe I'm holding them in my hand. I go, what do you want with these? And he goes, I took him to a stamp dealer in D.C. and he said he offered me $2,000. And I was like, I couldn't calculate fast enough. I'm saying, well, like $2,000 for this whole group, that sounds so cheap to myself.
Right.
And then he goes, if you give me $3,000, you got them. So usually you don't dicker like that, but I went, wait a minute. So then I took a divided, you know, and it came down to like $33 or $37 a piece. I'm like, I'll take them.
Oh, wow.
So I left and got the money, came back, and I really didn't know what I had. I mean, I honestly didn't know what I had. I knew it was good. I knew they were $37 a piece. And this is going back 1982.
Yeah.
So it literally put me in another tax bracket if I sold them.
God.
That's how much it was. I mean, Malcolm Forbes bought a set, and Fabergé eggs. I got a letter from Malcolm Forbes saying that there's more interest in those paychecks in his museum in New York than there is at Fabergé eggs. Because people can identify with the paychecks. I mean, you know, if they look at it and go, wow, there's, you know. I helped buy my house with them. I mean, you know, it's like crazy.
That's great.
Yeah.
See, that's the
And the little old guy said to me, he said, they're going to get thrown away. They're going to get, you know, nobody cares.
Imagine it's something they threw out.
Well, that day, yeah, he threw out everything. I mean, you know. But he had a lot of Roosevelt checks. I got a Harding up there, Warren G. Harding, because there were only 3 of those out of all the checks. And I got one of his last checks before he died. And, I mean, and I kept for myself, and I since sold to help buy my house, Hoover, Coolidge, and Roosevelt's first paychecks as president. So, you know, the guy's got to sit there and this is my first paycheck as president. Something special, you
Yeah,
know.
really.
Yeah, that is
But they
They're
were
actually paying me to do this.
Yeah,
To rule
yeah.
the country.
And then Roosevelt didn't need any money. I mean, he was filthy rich, so you know,
Yeah.
it's like Kennedy. He gave all his salary to, you know, charities and stuff. So,
God.
but yeah, I'll show you one of his checks.
Yeah, this is neat. Linda, did you want to take any pictures of any specific?
Is this Kennedy's rocking chair?
Yeah, multiple pictures. You can, it's all the big stuff.
Why not? I haven't taken that.
We already made a month. Not bad doing a depression.
6,000.
Yeah. See that? This is the back of the original. That's the front. So let's see the original checks.
That is great.
But they all look the same. I still got some of the senators and people up there,
You get that.
but they're no good.
Pull that up for me, man. All right. Just gotta get that plate.
There's better light in here.
So this is I'm going to take a picture here.
Move
We're going to
towards
send
Linda a
some
little
photos
bit.
out to OPB.
Yeah.
See, I have it crammed, and I'd like to idealistically have it much more spread out because I can fill a big area with it spread out. It's too
Oh,
tight.
sure.
Plus, in that case there is another, I guess, 400 pieces.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Is Senator Joe McCarthy, is he collecting it? I have an autographed picture of him that I got.
He's not really because he's such a jerk. You know,
Well, I think that-
he has that connotation of being a real jerk.
Right. I would think somebody looks like freak stuff or something.
Well, yeah, but see, then
Somebody
then,
collects
then
them,
he's not
I'm sure.
freaky enough, you know, for those people. You know what I'm saying?